Hello, I'm the Irish guy, and lads, 1 year ago, I predicted one former player every Premier League club should sign, and that aged about as well as a snowman in Kenya. But for today, okay, I'm going to pick one ex-player every Premier League club should sign either in January or next summer. And let's hope this one actually ages well in 18 months. Right, let's go. Arsenal Matt Turner. Look, Tella has been fiercely sweeping the deadwood out of the Emirates with a broom for the last 5 years. And to be fair, the guy hasn't made too many blunders. Even Granit Xhaka, despite his superhero form in the Bundesliga with Bayer Leverkusen, I think everyone realized that splashing out £100 million in his replacement has worked out pretty well. But look, if the Gunners could bring back one player, then maybe you would say international goalie Matt Turner. I mean, look at it this way. The Gunners currently have a temporary second choice goalie, having only loaned in Neto from Bournemouth as a short-term fix. But just like when they borrowed Matt Ryan from Brighton, they can just dump this Spanish sponge on the bench for a bit before then buying a permanent Raya understudy. And lads, Turner is unwanted by Nottingham Forest. He's currently on loan to Maltesers and Crystal Palace's bench. So I don't know. He's a 30-year-old shot stopper with nearly 50 caps for the USA. He's someone who is literally Pochettino's number one. So surely he's good enough to be Arsenal's number two. And for people who haven't been impressed by him since moving to the Prem, lads, this is someone who didn't start playing football until 2008, and even then it was just to keep fit in between his basketball games. So I think he's doing just fine. Aston Villa, Jack Grealish. Yeah, when I did this video a year ago, I said the one player Aston Villa should bring back was Adama Traore. The reason I plumped for this absolute ox of a man was probably because Jack Grealish looked out of reach. But 18 months later, Aston Villa are now a Champions League club, and I guarantee you this bloke is itching to be part of it. Of course he is. He's already completed club football at Man City, and he now just warms their bench. Pep has about as much faith in him as I do in Michael McIntyre to tell an actually funny joke. Imagine offering Grealish this scenario as a child. You can either play in the Champions League for Aston Villa or for Man City. I know what 2012 Grealish would have picked.
Football is on. Please, United win and City lose. I cannot watch City win the league, lol. Come on, the Villa as well.
Yeah, forget watching City win the league. You've been part of them winning the league multiple times. But it did sound like teenage Grealish liked Man City about as much as he likes eating bananas out of a bin. This 29-year-old man has since become a boring robot winger at Man City, which seems almost unfair. His maverick flair has been beaten out of him, which seems unnecessary considering Jeremy Doku is still given license to play like a mini Ronaldinho. If I was Villa, chuck in a £50 million bid in January. Give him a 4-year deal, although it will be pricey, but it's your own fault. You showed your hand 3 years ago by apparently offering to pay him more than Man City. Seriously, Villa just finished 11th in the league. They were just 12 months out from being 10 minutes away from relegation, and they were still offering Grealish over £300,000 a week. That felt like a very desperate gesture. Bournemouth, Aaron Ramsdale. Look, I know that Aaron Ramsdale has only just joined Southampton, but so... are you telling me it's not in this man's nature to quit a club immediately after relegation? Because I've got news for you. The bloke's done that twice before. This is not a goalkeeper who likes to stick around to help out in the championship. This is a man who has fled the scene of the crime at both Bournemouth and Sheffield United. It seems like his exit from clubs usually coincide with tears. This is somebody who spells struggling Premier League clubs are almost like hit and runs. And so yes, I know he's just been rescued from the Arsenal bench and has signed a 4-year deal with the Saints. But no, once Southampton go down next May, don't worry. Ireland international goalie Gavin Bazunu will be back from injury to reclaim the gloves for free, whilst Ramsdale can go back to ambitious Bournemouth to replace Kepa in net. I'm sorry, but I don't see the world's most expensive ever goalkeeper, someone whose ego managed to resist a substitution in a cup final. I don't care how tasty the local ice cream is. He is not hanging out in an 11,000-seater stadium for longer than a year. Not when he's been at Real Madrid. Ramsdale in next summer makes sense. Brentford, Christian Eriksen. Okay, I realize this is hugely ambitious, but why not? Christian Eriksen is quitting Manchester United on a free next summer. The man would have loads of offers from around the globe, you would think, but you never know. I thought that about Juan Mata when he left Old Trafford at a similar age. And, well, he's gone through Galatasaray in Turkey, Vissel Kobe in Japan, and now Western Sydney Wanderers in Australia. I hope you enjoy the barbecues and lunch with the cast of Neighbours, mate, because I'm sure the standard of soccer is going to be utter puke. So look, I doubt that Eriksen would return to the Bees on a free, but you never know. That is a very Danish-centric club. They did help him out at his lowest moment when nobody wanted to take a risk. So maybe he might just want to chill with some Danish teammates for a couple of years, whilst continuing to play in the Premier League, and once again living in a city that he used to reside in for 7 years. Brighton, Dan Burn. Yeah, Brighton made a habit out of selling on some absolute world stars. And yet I'm saying that if they dip into the market for a reunion, the best they should settle for is moldy old Dan Burn? Well, yeah, because the likes of Caicedo, McAllister, Trossard, Basuma, Cucurella, White are all unrealistic. None of them are going to want to downgrade and return to the Brighton beach anytime soon. But Burn, this 32-year-old mountain of a defender, only has 1 year left in his Newcastle deal. So why not chuck in a cheeky £6 million bid in January? Look, he is a Geordie fan favourite, sure, but he's also one of the most maligned players in the squad. A modern day Paul Dummett, having been regularly roasted like a marshmallow by speedy wingers inside the last 18 months. Look, he's done his job at Newcastle. He helped keep them in the league. He's had his Champions League dream, played in a cup final. He can dine out on that goal he scored against PSG forever. So Brighton, they should just bring him back to sit on their bench and at depth. Why not? Chelsea, Andreas Christensen. Chelsea have sold so many players recently. Take your pick. Price about nearly 50 of them left the building this summer alone. I'm not even exaggerating. But Andreas Christensen, this smooth ball playing centre back who helped them win the Champions League, I kind of have a feel this is what David Luiz was supposed to be. A John Stones-esque mini Piqué who looks like a natural on the ball, but crucially, unlike Luiz, does not then morph into a clown on roller skates every 5 matches. Luiz is somebody who could have played for Barcelona if he wasn't a complete nutcase once a month, instead of just making a hollow career out of repeatedly shaking down Chelsea and PSG for signing on bonuses. Look, considering Barcelona barely have enough money to store Kit Kats in the vending machines, then there were reports last month that they were prepared to cash in on this Danish centre back, even for as low as 25 million euros. That is a huge bargain. I mean, come on, during a Chelsea era where their identity has been stripped, then bringing back one member of their Champions League winning side, someone who can also play in defensive midfield too, and especially when their £70 million centre-back Wesley Fofana is doing what Drogba used to do back in 2005, making noises about going to his beloved Marseille. Crystal Palace, Wilfried Zaha. I was sad to see Wilfried Zaha rock up at Lyon this summer. If he's been made available for transfer by Galatasaray, then I wanted to see this other street maverick baller back in the Prem. And to be fair, Crystal Palace and Leicester both did try. Look, the guy is on a season-long loan in France. So come on, Palace, try again in January. You still have a fat Michael Olise-shaped hole in the squad after he quit for Bayern Munich. So I reckon chuck in a £50 million bid, and this soon-to-be 32-year-old will be back at Sellers Park. Everton, Demarai Gray. Look, if Everton could magically click their fingers and re-sign any one of their former players, then oh boy, words cannot express just what Sean Dyche would do to get Romelu Lukaku in his team. This Belgian beefcake is everything Dyche loves in a centre forward, and I genuinely believe this ex-Burnley boss would probably chew off his own ear to get this Napoli striker in his team. But again, there's more chance of me eating a bumblebee on toast than that return ever becoming true. So instead, what can Everton really afford? I have to imagine that Demarai Gray is bored in Saudi. Come on. We have seen players get attracted to the novelty of money, but players in their 20s like Saint-Maximin have clearly woken up in the middle of the night and had an epiphany that yes, they are wasting their short careers. I mean, I think the whole world is waiting for that former Celta Vigo wonder kid midfielder Gabby Vega to come to that conclusion soon. But then again, Chelsea's Oscar has been in China for nearly 8 years. Yeah, I'm shocked too. I'm half convinced the bloke is dead, because how on earth can a former Brazil international, someone who scored in a World Cup semi-final, how can he spend close to a decade playing Chinese football even after the bubble burst? This former Chelsea star probably now speaks fluent Chinese. But anyway, Gray has been earning a nice comfy bag at Al Ittifaq for over a year now, but it's not ludicrous Ivan Toney money. Nah, it's just £90,000 a week. Yes, he would need to cut that in half to return to Goodson Park. But come on, does he not miss Premier League football? Maybe winning the Premier League in his teens after only 12 Premier League appearances sort of spoiled the kid early doors and dissolved his hunger for the game. But on his day, this Jamaican winger was pretty decent for the Toffees. I think they should try and coax him back. Fulham, Alexander Mitrovic. Try. Just try. I know Alexander Mitrovic is enjoying beasting the Saudi Pro League with Al Hilal whilst also drinking his body weight in gold. Well, come on. If like Gray, he does miss real hyper-competitive Premier League football, then just try and bring him back on loan. Leicester City, Ben Chilwell. Well, this is a no-brainer. Why on earth did Leicester City not try and save Ben Chilwell with a loan deal on deadline day? It's almost like they're still fuming with this bloke for quitting them in a £50 million deal for Chelsea. I want to punish their former academy star by letting him rot in the reserves for the next 6 months. But if I were the Leicester Chiefs, I would absolutely be knocking on Chelsea's door for a loan deal. I don't know what he's possibly done to offend Maresca. Maybe he's piddled in his slippers, but something drastic has gone wrong. And let's be honest here, he is a Champions League winning left back. He's an England international defender. Leicester City, get him back immediately. Liverpool, Emre Can. Look, there's not many players that Liverpool need to bring back, but if I had to pick one, then maybe Borussia Dortmund midfielder Emre Can. He's 30 years old, can play as a central midfielder, defensive midfielder, centre back or full back. And let's be real, Liverpool are short in defensive midfield and at centre back. He was very useful for 4 years at Anfield. Don't forget, he helped them get to a Champions League final before dipping out before Klopp exploded with success. And that has got to irk him. Quitting Liverpool for Juventus has aged monumentally poorly. A lot is made about Philip Coutinho's deferral to Barcelona being an absolute career devastation. But people don't talk enough about Can leaving before the Champions League and Premier League success to go to Juve where he was not appreciated to such a point where Maurizio Sarri left him out of his Champions League squad. Look, he is still a very good player. He just captained Dortmund to a Champions League final, played for Germany at the Euros, so I think, considering your shortage in these areas, is he not worth a £17 million deal in January with Wataru Endo going the other way? Quick fix, Man City Cole Palmer. Look, let's not beat around the bush here. I'm not gonna bother suggesting that Man City should go back out there and tempt some former academy stars to come back and warm the bench. No, why not absolutely go out there and rock the world by re-signing Cole Palmer in a £100 million deal? City did well to resist the urge to bring back Jadon Sancho from Dortmund after everyone was laughing at them for letting him go, but Palmer, he is the real deal. Since selling him to Chelsea last summer, he's gone and scored 26 goals and registered 15 assists. Oh yeah, and scored for England in the Euro 2024 final. He's a rock star, an absolute elite performer. And if Chelsea crash and burn this season, which they will, then City should absolutely make him next summer's priority. He'll be 23 years old, come on. You can't hone and craft this guy for 13 years in your academy and then let him spend his best years at Stamford Bridge. Absolutely not. This is the perfect replacement for Grealish next summer. Throw £100 million to Chelsea and bring him back to Pep. Man United Angel Gomes. 4 years, the answer to this question would always have been one of two names for me: Wilfried Zaha or Memphis Depay. Yeah, they're now at Lyon and Corinthians. They clearly ain't ever going back to Old Trafford, but I think the obvious answer now is Angel Gomes, who has embarrassed Manchester United fans this month by absolutely exploding back into the national picture by making his debut for England and being the first England player to record over 100 passes on his debut. Look, I guarantee Manchester United fans forgot all about this kid when he was sold to Lille 4 years ago after 14 years at Old Trafford, because nobody watches the French league. Nobody has ever thought about how Nani's godson is getting on out there. It's not like he was even part of Lille's majestic title triumph in 2021. Nah, he was out on loan with Boa Vista in Portugal, with ex-Swansea flop Renato Sanchez pulling the strings on Lille's midfield instead. But as he is a quality, very tidy, ball-playing midfielder who is playing for England for a reason. Both he and Kobbie Mainoo are the future of the England midfield, so considering he's not actually at a European giant, considering he's playing for very much a selling club in Lille, then oh, Manchester United, move your weight around and bring him back in January for £35 million. Newcastle and Saint-Maximin. Most Newcastle fans will probably disagree with me because Saint-Maximin probably does not fit any ball, but surely there is room for this other French magician in this Magpie squad. To see an absolutely potentially world-class winger slumming it in Turkey with Fenerbahce alongside the GOAT, it makes me sad. It was only a couple of years ago that Newcastle's future depended on keeping this man happy, because without him, oh, Steve Bruce would have relegated that team to the championship. It seems increasingly depressing that the man of his utter skill and the talent is going to this season turn 28 years old in the Turkish league. Come on, Newcastle. He is contracted to Saudi club Al Ahly. Pull some strings, make his Fenerbahce loan deal just magically disappear, and maybe just rip up his Saudi contract and feed it to a pig, and let this modern day Hatem Ben Arfa return to St James's Park on a free. Nottingham Forest Bryce Samba. This seems ambitious, sure, but let's be honest. Nottingham Forest never truly replaced Bryce Samba with a permanent solution goalkeeper. It's actually kind of crazy this club have managed to repeatedly survive in the Premier League for this long without a settled permanent number one. And Samba, he was a promotion hero for the club, someone who made over 130 appearances for them in the championship. He then earned himself the move to Lens. I don't know, he is playing for an ambitious side in the Europa Conference League, sure, so maybe he doesn't want to return to Forest in January, especially considering he's the literal captain of Lens. But I'm guessing he will soon grow sick and tired of taking orders from a ginger nugget who learned tactics based off playing Football Manager in his underpants, whereas Nuno Santo, he has coached some of the world's best players. Southampton Nathan Tella. This is majorly ambitious, absolutely. But it is sort of sad that Southampton never really got to properly see what Nathan Tella was all about. Having enticed this English-born Nigerian winger from Arsenal's academy when he was 17, they gave him a few games in a struggling Prem side, but then stupidly loaned him out when they needed him the most, for them to be relegated from the Premier League whilst he was out, scoring 19 goals for championship title-winning Burnley, a team who directly nabbed their spot in the top division. It looked like such a foolish blunder, and he was then sold to Bayer Leverkusen for £20 million. Look, on paper, the move went swimmingly, winning a League and Cup double in his debut season and reaching a European final too, and becoming a domestic golden invincible. Amazing, Well, the guy can't get into Xabi Alonso's starting 11. And at the age of 25, he needs regular starts. Come on, Russell Martin. If you're still there in January, bring him back on loan. Tottenham Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker is a Manchester City legend, but the man has still never seemed secure at the Etihad. He's always been linked with an exit every single year. He was to figure out a move to Bayern Munich just days after being benched for a Champions League final. Every season always seems like his last in City colours, and next summer he will be 35 years old and out of contract in a year. Next year is the last possible year where City could make some money back on a right back they paid £50 million for in 2017. Look, I know what you're thinking. Why would Champions League chasing Spurs want a 35-year-old right back? Well, because this is no ordinary 35-year-old. Does this man really play like he's 34? To put it in context, Gary Neville is the most successful right back in Premier League history, and when he was 34, he was getting roasted by average wingers at West Brom. But Walker is fit, strong, still at his pace, clearly looks after himself immensely. He's going to be another breed of James Milner, Cristiano Ronaldo, or even Ashley Young, somebody who'll still be playing elite football at 40 years of age. I reckon Walker has 5 years left in the Premier League. So go on, Spurs, chuck in a cheap £10 million deal for him, either in January or next summer, and I think he'd be a brilliant backup right wing back for Pedro Porro. West Ham Jesse Lingard. I don't know. There's no other West Ham ex-players who would be useful back at the club. Maybe Marco Arnautovic from Inter Milan, but I don't know. Considering how electric Jesse Lingard was on loan at West Ham, maybe the Hammers are the only club where J-Lings actually fits. Because I think we all realise this former England international, sure as mustard, should not be playing in a small South Korean village. Wolves Matheus Nunes. Look, Matheus Nunes' Manchester City career has not worked out perfectly at all. Since leaving Wolves, he's been rooted to Pep Guardiola's bench. Maybe he can do better than a return to Molineux. But if he is still an absolutely anonymous cheese stain on the City bench in January, then maybe a 6-month loan scrambled together on deadline day might not be the worst shout. Anyway, that's what you want to hear. What player would you bring back? Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.